Well, Aaron, the dust has settled a bit in Nashville, Tennessee, where we had this big red flag gun confiscation fight there. Big fight coming up in a couple of weeks. Just hammer home again the implications for this fight. Like, we have to win this thing, or the dominoes are going to fall.
Yeah, I think it's been a huge wake-up call, not just to gun owners in Tennessee, but across red America who thought that the red flag issue was done in their state. This is a Democrat problem. This is a blue state problem. It's not a problem here where I live. But as we're seeing right now in Tennessee, every red state is one situation away from having a Republican governor call for a red flag law. So as you said, this is a lot more. There's a lot more at play here, or at stake here, than simply Tennessee. It's a national issue, to be sure.
We were on the ground a couple of weeks ago, and then last week as well. A couple of different teams. I was there last week. I mean, we walk into this legislative building in Tennessee. These legislators, from my mouth to your ears and everybody out there watching, they haven't heard from a gun group in years. No. I mean, literally years. And meanwhile, they had a few weeks ago 10,000 crazed, rabid, communist gun grabbers swarming at the Capitol. And the rank and file Republicans are opposed to this stuff, but you've got this Republican governor who's basically just stabbing his own people in the back.
Well, it's just so important. We've got, as AFA leads the charge here in D.C. on Capitol, and a lot of your workload is up here in D.C. The real fight in many ways right now with this kind of divided Congress is in the various state capitals across the country. And the fight there has never been hotter because, as you said, in many states, there is not a functioning state level presence to fight for gun rights in that state capital. And we're seeing that right now in Tennessee, where a Republican governor can go on TV and call for red flag gun seizures and not be afraid of pushback. And so that has got to be fixed. We're working to fix that right now, of course, in Tennessee. But without that, you have more and more of these Republicans who have the flexibility in their mind, to become raging rhinos with no fear of pushback. If that is not addressed in the respective red states, you're going to see more and more of this. That cannot be allowed to happen.
And we saw the freak out on Twitter when literally Chris and I, we had an orange flyer, bright orange flyer. We passed them out to all the Republicans as they were coming into the House, and some of the communist gun-grabbing, anti-gunner commie mommies were getting a hold of them. You could see them all over the desks in the House, and oftentimes that's all it takes, right? A little bit of chatter. Wow, just see what these guys are saying. But then the left gets a hold of them. They're threatening politicians. Well, yeah, sure we are at election time, and that's what's been missing in the state of Tennessee.
Yeah, I mean, you and Chris confronted the Senate Majority Leader who just 2 weeks ago was captured on somebody doesn't like the guy, right? Because somebody recorded either a caucus meeting or a meeting with the governor's staff where he was coaching them on how to talk about red flags without using the phrase red flags, right? And so, of course, you and Chris confronted him in the chamber, and he tries to deny it, tries to pretend, well, there was more context there. But yeah, at the end of the day, they feel free to do this because whatever presence has been there in the past, or maybe it doesn't exist anymore, was not up to the task. And now you've got Republicans who, and of course, they're being aided by Biden's money, right? There's this new federal legislation from last year. Biden has almost $1 billion to use to bribe these states, and they're doing it. And Tennessee has received millions of dollars already to enforce red flag laws that aren't even on the books yet. And so there needs to be, again, ramped up pressure on these red states. Of course, they have adjourned down there now for the year, but the governor already announced a special session to address the gun violence problem, in air quotes for those who are listening and not seeing our video, the gun violence epidemic in that state. So this fight's not done.
Yeah, and the state senator you're referring to is Jack Johnson. He's from, I believe he lives in Leapers Fork, which is in Williamson County. My family is all out there. It's also the home to Sheryl Crow and Amy Grant and all these people who showed up at the Capitol and are, a tragic situation. Apparently the governor's wife had a friend or something, kid died in this trans attack at the Covenant School in Nashville. But and they're really tugging on this guy's strings. But this guy Jack Johnson, I heard him again just yesterday, and I think the real threat here is they're doing their darndest to not say red flags. And, well, it's mental health this. And I literally heard the guys like, well, your neighbors and your family, and they should be able to do. Like, dude, that is red flags no matter how you try to wrap it. And you've seen this in state legislatures all over the country. different types of, mental health holds and involuntary hospitalization and everything else. So mid-May, we think, is when the session is coming. This is red flags, man. I don't care anything you say about it. And these Republicans up there are going to be put on notice, and we're still hammering it this second, against this stuff.
Well, the issue of mental health, gun control covers all kinds of topics, but this is the issue of the day in so many states. It's a palatable way, they think, to talk about gun control and not let the words gun control come out of their lips. But at the end of the day, as you said, this does what a red flag law has always done. It allows someone, and it could be law enforcement, but it could also be your ex-spouse. It could be an angry neighbor. It could be a liberal college professor, and that's all there are on campus today that don't like your politics or don't like you, and they call you in. And it's that simple. And it goes before a judge, usually through an ex parte process, which means you're not there, not allowed. You're not even aware it's going on. And this hearing takes place, and a liberal judge, and that's all we have these days are liberal judges, except for in the Supreme Court. They say, well, yeah, the guy, he's probably a danger to himself, and they order your firearms taken away. And this is what the left has wanted for a generation, is bureaucratic gun control, that they can take away someone's firearms without the burden of a conviction in court. Because once they get away with that, we've already seen it in Florida, 8,000 Floridians who have been disarmed, usually for life. There's usually a built-in renewal process, almost automated, not quite. And so when this red flag is first issued against the gun owner, it often amounts in a lifetime gun ban. And we have 8,000 Floridians who've already endured this, and that's their goal. It's bureaucratic gun control, bypassing a criminal conviction and all the due process rights that normally entails. You
mentioned the money. Last summer here in Washington, you had 12? I think it was 12 Senate Republicans, John Cornyn, Lindsey Graham, all these guys. Joni Ernst, I think from
Phony
Iowa,
Joni.
Phony Joni. This money is powerful to a lot of these people. And sometimes when they're throwing $70 million, wow, I think I can do a lot of stuff with that. And so I think that would be the concern, even though, like I said, we spoke to dozens of rank and file Republicans. We're not doing that, we're not doing that. But the governor starts working on them. They bring Amy Grant in. They bring Sheryl Crow. They bring in whatever left-wing country music star they have living in Nashville. And these guys get weak in the knees, man. And Tennessee first, which is a far more red state than Georgia, and some of these other so-called red states, we're looking at dominoes here. So this is a fight that just absolutely has to be won. And we're excited to be engaged on it because a lot of these legislators, I don't know how to describe it, but it's like, wow, and their staff. They have staff. They're like, wow, thank you for coming by.
Someone's here.
Nobody's come by.
Exactly.
So.
Well, we saw this in 2018 in Ohio, which is why our group out there, Ohio Gun Owners, fought so hard, because you had John Kasich, who was a raging, commie that masqueraded as a Republican barely, and he would openly say in his press conferences, if we pass red flags here in Columbus, Ohio, that's the roadmap to pass them all across the country. They know this is the goal. So the only question now is, what state can they dangle enough of that federal money from last year in the face of which rhino governor to get that ball rolling? So this is not only about Tennessee. It's about the country. It's about the future of the red flag fight. They've got it right now in Florida. They have it right now in Indiana. And if it expands to a lot additional red states, you're going to see, unfortunately, you're going to see a lot more momentum roll in the opposite direction in these red states. This is a fight that has to be won.
On their checklist, red flags. I mean, when you're thinking the issues, you've got national gun registration, or universal background checks, assault weapons ban, red flags, mental health. It's all like whatever they can get, right? I mean, in Illinois and Washington and Colorado and this and that, it's a little bit more advanced. But in these red states, wow, we can jump our fourth issue up to number one, and let's do it. You know?
Well, and they know they can do that right now because there's just so many Republicans who think this is an acceptable, response to a shooting. And of course, and it's air quotes for those who can't see, this is an acceptable response. It's not acceptable. It's going to take away more guns from people who have never been convicted of a crime of any kind. And again, at the end of the day, all it does is leave innocent people disarmed. Well, the criminal is going to always bypass the gun control laws, no matter what they are, and carry out the governor had had a great chance to say, you know what, we had a crazy criminal who attacked a place of worship, a Christian school, went after our innocent children. Thank God we had cops who were there 2 minutes later. This could have been a whole lot worse. We encourage private citizens to carry firearms. We thank God the cops were there so fast. This could have been a moment to put a pause on the national scream for gun control. Instead, Lee has folded like a cheap suit and fallen right into the hands of the gun control talking points, and it's a very big problem, definitely.
Well, I mean, we can keep going on and on about this. It's a big freaking fight, and we know that. If gun owners out there are in Tennessee right now, what can they do to take action? And in other states, right? But most importantly, Tennessee, we're coming in hot and heavy. We're running our ads all across the state. And what can gun owners in your mind do, on this particular?
Well, it's a
issue?
pressure game right now. As you mentioned, the left has massive numbers of Bloomberg-funded activists. They've got celebrities. They've got washed-up old country music stars coming to the Capitol. But it's a pressure game. It's a pressure game. So making those phone calls, firing off emails. We have an automated program which of course allows Tennesseans' emails to go right to their lawmakers. They should hit the link beneath the video to be doing that. But this is an everyday deal. It's not just one phone call and you're done. It's not one email. It's every day when they have this special session, whenever that takes place. Pick up the phone, call your senator and call your rep and say, if you do this, I will personally never support you again. I will happily look for a primary candidate to run against you. I'll give them money. I'll make it my mission in life to end your career. There's no coming back from this. You're going to vote no, or you're going to pay the price. There's no other action items that they're going to work right now. It's a pressure game.
Well, we're looking forward to it. It's a big fight coming up. I know we're preparing back at headquarters to really unload when this session comes. So
yeah, definitely.
We're going to tell everybody more about this. You're going to see us live from the Capitol.
Oh, yeah.
Probably some more podcasts about it, guys, and some action issues. So good stuff, Aaron. Let's kick butt and take names and win that battle.
Yeah, we have to.
We have to.
You bet.